is there is this first you have to secure the base, then once that's done, now we can look at these things and look at them, which sounds like it's not something that is a common understanding or narrative in culture, right? Is that fair?
I think that's right. And the financial planning world, which tends to also sort of often ignores at least certain elements of insurance, at least when it's done quickly. Planning, I just went through. Have you ever worked with a financial planner straight through?
Yeah. I mean, but it's been a while.
So did they give you a plan that showed you like cash flows throughout your life?
Yes. Yeah.
So that can be a very powerful tool in our category if the person doing it believes in the category.
Okay.
So then that begs, because you're not focused on that component of the strategy. You're focused on the consumer.
Right.
So I think what you can help us understand is what is leading the consumer to that person versus to us.
Yeah.
What is it they're trying to derive from them versus us? What language is being used, what services are being provided, what needs are being fulfilled by their relationship with them versus the kind of relationship they might have with us, and hopefully create a story for what we might do to have that consumer be interested in securing the solution to what their actual problem is from us, because I think we believe we have the ability to solve big chunks of those problems, in some cases better than others, but we're not always getting the chance.
Okay. Do you see realistically a future scenario for New York Life where you were the advisor, or do you always see you as part of a team of financial advisors that people would turn to New York Life ideally for retirement planning to cover these aspects, but I'm not going to give up my ex-advisor? Like, what do you think is realistic?
So that's a business model question, right? Like, my own experience is actually both within. So we have a small planning business, Eagle Strategies, where some of our agents are full-on financial advisors and financial planners. And so actually, I went through that process with one of them, but he was not my original agent. My agent is really a life insurance salesman, and he's a good one. And I called him and I said, "You don't do the planning, right?" He said, which I did. I thought I knew the answer. He said, "No, I don't." I said, "Is there anybody? Do you recommend anybody?" And he said, "Yeah, there's a guy in my office I work with. I write the insurance. He does the plans." And, I've had really my clients like him, so I called him, and then I called the people who run our business and asked if he was any good. And he got a good recommendations, and he's been fabulous. But that type of partnership between the insurance specialist and the financial planner is only going to happen organically in these four walls, and even then it doesn't happen that often.
Okay.
So our model of the future is going to have to either be that our agents become more engaged in planning at some level, or that we form a better partnership structure with planners. And I don't that's a business model question. I'm hoping that your work and some of the other work that Don is doing is going to provide the consumer. Well, he's either going to tell me I'm wrong, which I don't think I am, but I suspect a big outcome of that is going to be a more nuanced understanding of the business justification for us pursuing one of those strategies or the other, and we'll pursue whichever one we think makes sense.
Yep.
Which will be an operational decision, but I think your work is going to create consumer justification for us taking that problem much more seriously than we have.
And what problem is that, in your own words?
The problem of the fact that what consumers really want is more holistic planning and somebody to tell them how the whole thing comes together, and what we come to them with is a specific, either a problem they've identified or a problem we've identified for them, and we solve it. And for some people that's good enough, but it's also really transactional. We've actually stated in our client strategy, one of our strategies is to try to go from, and were you the product and service person, or did that come from somebody else?
Was us.
All right, there you go. So now we've got a win point. So we are actually in the process of declaring that our client strategies, our post-purchase client strategy, is to turn our clients from buyers to users.
Yep.
And it's based on your insights, on some other third-party research, just sort of general understanding of who seems to stick.
Yeah.
So that's a big component, and in the mature affluent space, nobody wants to be a buyer. People with money are not buyers. People with money are users.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know about you. As I've gotten older and done better, I'm spending a much greater percentage of my expenditures are service related.
Yeah. Oh gosh, 100%. There's no question about it.
Whereas if I go back 25 years ago, 100% of my purchases were product related. Right? I was just buying stuff I wanted or needed.
Yeah.
Even when I was using leisure, now I'm literally trying to buy leisure time.
Yeah. Yeah,
because otherwise I don't have it.
It's a really interesting perspective, which is the psychology of consumerism in general as we age, and how that plays into our expectations for services and what that means, as we 55. I mean, I think, I think it is also very interesting because we're Gen X, and I think there's a huge difference between Gen X and Boomers as well in terms of the attitudes towards a lot in life. So that'll be really interesting